Slowing down a little bit today. How does that sound to you? If you take a moment, take a deep breath, can you almost hear society shouting? Don't do it. Don't slow down. Don't take a break. Rest is for the weak. Do more and do it faster. You'll be happier. It's like the siren song. So much of that idea in the culture. You got to see more, got to do more, got to accomplish more, be more. Bleed right over into our health space. More exercise, more special foods, more special diets, more seminars, more videos, always more things. And some of these things can be good. Do all the exercise that you feel called to do. Spend all the time cooking the delicious, healthy foods that don't come from factories as much as possible. But you know what happens when it's always more? You feel the pace picking up. You know, the thing that we get less of is we get less space. Here, this is fasting space, and we have plenty of space. Plenty of space. We're not in a rush. We've got the time here to do something really nice. Say, why not just slow down a bit? How about relaxing our way toward health? There's something we could do a little bit more of. Relaxing our way toward wellness, opening up the space, let the thoughts settle a bit. And what we see in a fasting space, body's got energy even in that space with nothing coming into it. Very powerful space in the body. Sometimes I feel it. I can feel it on a vacation day. Maybe you even feel it if you are retired. It's just some call. I'm picturing spaces here. I want to move these ideas into our eating space, because when we are rushing in life, we can be rushing in our meals. These things, it all blurs together. Have you ever had a time like this? I'm picturing how many times I spent eating at my desk while I was working, eating in the car because we're in a hurry to get somewhere. When we are rushed, when we are moving through a day on autopilot, when we are in this zone and we say sometimes maybe it has to happen, but let's at least do a debrief on it. When we're rushing through life, we feel we've got so many things we have to get in. Can do some big picture thinking. Is there a different way of being, even a different mindset to it? Maybe food is the place that can bring the different mindset, because so often the things where I'm seeing at it, eating at the desk, eating at the car, eating with the TV, because it's like, we got to get that into, we develop habits and patterns and routines, and then we can flow through them without even thinking deeply about it in a day. Rushing through the food, we don't even ask the question, do I even really need it? And we're certainly not practicing mindfulness with it. When I say slow down, when we say rushing through food, Man, slow down. When we're rushed in general, isn't that generally a stressful time? Maybe there are times where we say, oh, it's exciting. Or maybe we're accomplishing something of great value to us. There's a season for everything. But do a little check-in. Is the rush, if you are experiencing it now, are you experiencing it as a stressful state? A chronic stressful state, a repeated condition of stress, is changing the hormonal architecture that is happening in the body. This can have many, many physiologic effects in the body. Interacting with our systems of how we feel content, a big thing that I want in our sessions. How do we find a mental space of peace and contentment, both in life and in our relationship with food and what we are eating? A big way to build that relationship, that contentment in the food space, slowing down. Slowing down in our relationship with food, maybe if that's the only change, especially in a fasting space. Get some more time, open up a little more space in life, help this cycle to flow in reverse. A little more space, a little less stress, a little more bandwidth, help it to feed back through, a little less pressure. A little deeper breath, maybe a little more chance to take some space to breathe. This is how we get the whole cycle of stress flowing backwards. And if we get that flowing back around, instead of a spiral of stress and rushing, flowing through things, a little more space coming back around, that can flow through our life and come back into a space where it's easier for us to really sit with the food for a bit, you know? This is where we find satisfaction with it. I know this has been my experience. Many people I've talked to, as we're bringing in deep mindfulness practices like this to our eating, they say, man, I gotta really pay attention to what I'm eating. I don't really like what I'm eating. Maybe gotta make some different choices with the food, and can that cycle forward? I just think in a mindfulness space, what it always tells me when I'm really dialed in, all the distractions are off. I've cleared out a total space for the food. It's like, man, I want this food to be good. As in like nourishing and healthy. Doesn't mean it has to take a long time to make. Oftentimes the cleanest, simplest ingredients. Maybe just one thing, you know? A single apple, you know? Finding just joy in such a simple thing. Did not come from a factory, that's what I say. No ingredients list. I've shared on the channel lately, I'm doing my very best picking myself back up through the fatigue of having a Lyme disease infection that I got somewhere this summer. And so I've been trying to really dial in on building some nutritious meals. I made up a meal the other day. If I had had more sense or thought or energy, I would have loved to have filmed it and showed the making of it. But basically, I just was reading a list of ingredients or of foods that are helpful in supporting people recovering in this situation. And so I just basically picked a bunch of foods off the list and made them into one concoction, a little stir fry, which was mincing up some fresh turmeric and ginger, which the turmeric especially, I was happy to find at our local co-op. Fresh garlic and onions, simmer it all in some olive oil, and then added in some freshly diced lion's mane mushroom, and then some chopped kale with some salt and pepper, and made that into a beautiful, it was small, I was looking at the calculations, it's just like 200 calories, but so delicious, so satisfying, you know. I probably spent 15 minutes chopping stuff up and cooking that up. Is one of the most beautiful meals that I have had in so long. Think a little bit in this section. Think in your own life. Think of the connection. What is the connection that you experience between the pace that you have both in life and in eating? And then what is it with the satisfaction that you experience or don't experience? Do you notice a correlation? Can you build the correlation, especially in the way that we want it? Planning for it. What are the types of experiences, food experiences, that we want to have? And how do we shape those things in our life around them so that we can create those sort of experiences, build the sort of context that helps us to have a balanced relationship with food, where we're getting nutrition into our body in amounts that are serving us. So that nutrition is one of the mechanisms helping us deal with stress in life. Very clear, right? Stress in life can drive us to eat. A huge challenge we're trying to overcome. But let's run that in reverse. Let's use our nutrition process, the healthiest food, to drive back as a coping mechanism to help us put stress in its place, help us to be strong. I love that. And here in this thinking that we're doing about the rush that we experience all around us from society, can we use a pause? That's what I want to think about today. If we can't really slow down, you say, Dr. Z, I hear it, slow down. Okay, but look, I got to get the kids here and there, and I've got this work to do and this thing, and I've got to do all of the things, whatever is on your list. To me, a pause is something that we can adjust into any schedule. Pause can even be seconds, whatever it is. I loved the thinking we did the other day. Even a single breath, one deep breath, just a moment before we get out of the car and head to the next thing, before we take the bite, before we've even set the plate down, right? Sit down, pause, and even one breath. So we can bring, just like everything that I try to do, we can break these processes down into very, very tiny spaces. I saw some, little meme or joke the other day that was about wellness influencers, and they were saying, man, like if you listen to every wellness influencer and you did every little, thing in your day, you made your special drink and you did your yoga and you practiced mindfulness and you did a Wim Hof session and you just went through all the things, it's like you wouldn't be done with your morning routine until like 3 o'clock. I was laughing about that. That's why I say here, the wellness routines that I like, things that I bring into my life, we try to get a lot of synergistic effect of fasting space in the morning, fasting space anytime, clearing out things to do, right? And then don't have to turn it into some long, drawn-out affair. We can simply take a pause, remember these mindfulness things, even within a single breath. I know I take a single breath, I feel just a little bit calmer. Take a single breath before a meal. Here is the sort of thing. Maybe we are rushed. Maybe we are in that moment. But if we slow things down, even in one breath before we go, here's a mindfulness that we're bringing into it. When we slow down our eating, even in any fashion, it really takes 15 to 20 minutes for the satiety process, okay? Satiety process, satiety just meaning the feeling of fullness, the feeling of satisfaction. It's controlled by hormones in the body, and many different things influence that. And these sort of hormonal processes coming to a feeling of contentment in that space, bringing that into balance, it just doesn't happen instantly. Maybe we take a couple bites and then a breath again. Like bring a pause, eating, pause. Giving all of the senses a chance to give their input, seeing the food coming in. I just love doing that. See it. I think it's important. How does the body know? We don't want to rely on, say, just we're full because we've reached our maximum stretching out the stomach point. That's not the best gauge, I will say. It's not the best gauge. Let the sound of the food, the smell of the food, the taste of it, actually seeing it coming in, and give a pause to really let those things sink into body and mind. Maybe you've got a tight timeline. I say 2 breaths be pretty ideal. Maybe you say, I'm late for a meeting. I've got to do this. We don't have the time. The structure is not ideal. How about focusing on mindfulness just for the first 3 bites? You know what I mean? Like there's a way to break it down smaller. Take 3 bites and practice the mindfulness. Slow that way down. That's like really kickstarting the system off. And you say, I got a meeting. We took a breath. We really sunk into the 3 bites. And if you got to scarf the rest of it down and go because we got it, I think there's even value in there. A few moments. Let that sink in. Help it to flow back around. Even a few moments to flow back around into the rest of the day, where it is next. And then practice it on the day if you say, man, I'm not in a hectic day. I don't have to get to the next thing. Okay, then it's beautiful. Then we've got the space. Bring the little bits of it into the stressful moments when there's not much time. Take the pause. And then if it's the weekend or if it's whatever time it is, we find the space where there isn't the pressure. Then we really sink into it. Try to draw it out a little bit. You know what I mean? Don't rush through it. And maybe what you find when you really slow it down in a meal, same sort of pattern we can see in the rest of life. Maybe I'm okay with a little bit less in this space. I really love the idea eating until we can't fit any more in, or say I am full, versus asking ourselves continually the question, if I didn't take another bite here, would I be okay? That's a pretty beautiful space. If you can find that, there's a difference, That difference might make all the difference in a weight loss process. It might. And then if we really want to take a pause, to the maximum level, which is what I would say at least sometime to do, even if you're planning on eating, we really slow this down. Most people's experience, has this been your experience? Hunger, the big barrier to a fasting space. Hunger we think of linearly. I've been saying this week a lot. We tend to think linearly. Most things, though, in cycles. Do you experience hunger that you can flow through it and come out the other side and come back into a balanced space? Been bringing up the other side of it. Certain points you can flow into a hunger space. You say, no, this is blowing out in a bad way. This makes me more hungry. I cannot have the mental space or bandwidth or practice yet to handle that. Very key to be aware of that. That is something that can be trained and practiced and thoughtfully moved toward if you have a mindset to do it. If you don't have a desire to do it, of course, you never have to do it. I would say always have the plan B, But if you're flowing through a space, most of the time, the human experience people have, you reach a hunger experience, it crests and then it diminishes and it comes back. If you have the space for it, the pause, if we slow down, maybe you have a space where you can ask the question, am I actually okay here even without it? So many times when we're rushed, we flow through it. We would never ask the question. Sometimes in a fasting space, that can be like the answer to a difficulty. You say, actually, if I stay busy, this actually is a distraction. Helps me flow through that space. If I'm not looking at the food and being so mindful, it's like I can flow through even without it. Sometimes that just happens because we're like totally overclocked. I've had that a lot. I went to this meeting and then that one, and a bonus meeting happened, and someone called, and it's like all of a sudden it's 3:00 and you're like, whoa, what happened? And it's like, oh, I never ate lunch, It's like bonus easy fasting happened, without thinking about it. There's a path that can happen sometimes in life. The total inverse of that would be like super mindfulness and deep dialing in. I like the practice of trying to feel the energy in the body, Like we have so much energy in the body, doesn't always feel that way, right? Feel like the energy is locked in there and trapped. Eating, one way that energy comes into the body. When we are breaking down food that we ate, is immediately available as energy. The body takes that and it's there. So if we're feeling hungry, we're also feeling in a space. Got this switch in the body. It's like it's not like a light switch, but we switch between metabolic processes. We can be running off the stored energy in our body, and we can be running off food energy. And the body can't do both at once, We don't do both at once. We're over in this eating mode. Energy is running down. We can feel that. You feel that. And then you eat something and you can feel it flow in. It's easiest with a simple carb, right? It's like if you're running low on energy and you hit a simple carb, that will be in the body, within seconds, and you can feel it. You can feel that, and but then you can feel the other side of it. You feel the insulin, you see the blood sugar spike, and then it's like you feel the crashes on the other side. Not a stable situation to create in the body. But it gives us the concept that we can feel it. And so I encourage, say, if we can feel that, okay, let's start feeling some other things in the body, It's like the feel. Have you really felt it? This would be like a next level, You say distraction, a fine first level, Stay busy, fine. You're trying to fasting. Do some fasting. But really next level to really get into it. Maybe this is a space where you're in saying, to me, this is the type of thing. If someone has kind of gotten into a dietary process, gotten into a fasting space, now we're in this plateau sort of space. Someone says is very common. Say we've kind of made a change. We've gotten into a space here. We were talking yesterday, a plateau space much better than a rebound space, which is what most people experience, especially without fasting elements in my experience. Fasting elements bring people into a space. Some people able to maintain that for a long period of time, have slow, steady progress. Other people reaching a level. And reaching a level, especially if you can sit in it in a space where you're feeling comfortable with it and feeling content with it, is not a bad space. It's a pretty neutral space. Pretty okay. Can feel frustrating, but this type of thinking, really slowing down and really bringing the mindfulness into it, is a process that can really help you unlock that sort of space. I gotta find this quote. I found a quote the other day that this is making me think of. Dornbusch. I don't know who this is. Things take longer to happen than you think they will, and then they happen faster than you thought they could. I have experienced this pattern many times. I've experienced myself personally in the weight loss space. I put on a fair amount of weight during my residency program. I've discussed that. So much stress, so little sleep, so much mac and cheese and ice cream. That was how I got through. And I spent a couple years on the other side of that. And doing extreme amounts of exercise, found it very difficult. Trying to dial in the very best dietary patterns that I knew at the time. And, years went by like that for me. Maybe 3, I don't know, something like that. And then I hit the right seam. Fasting was a big part of it for me. I've told that story. And then it clicked. Happy Thursday. So nice to have you here. Welcome. Slowing down. Yes, a new skill to learn. You would think it would be easy, but it might be, one of the most difficult things to do. It's not the culture. It's not the vibe. It's not the feeling you get from interacting with almost anyone these days, is it? Like, very rare. So important, though. It's just so important. Yeah, this pattern, I'm thinking of a gentleman at the university. It was way up at the front of the line on fasting. I remember even in the first year talking with them about, the interesting experiences I was having helping people with diabetes. They didn't have type 2 diabetes, but, I would talk with people, and, we'd small chat, how are you doing? What are you up to? I was like, I'm doing this interesting, research with different diabetes protocols. I tell this person, and I remember for a number of years, and then, coming into year 2, 3, they needed to lose weight. They wanted to do it. I share about the fasting process. It didn't click. They'd kind of try it. It didn't really click. It didn't really do it. And that went on for years. And every year that I was building out these things, I say, I got a grant. I'm doing the research program. Like, look at this case series. Here's publications and interesting things. And might have been out toward year 8. And things clicked for them. And then you come back a year later, I'd meet with this person a year later and they'd lost like 70 pounds over the year. So I just do love that quote. things can take longer than you expect, and then they can happen faster than you ever thought possible. This is why I encourage people, if you're in a comfortable place, in a plateau space, this is like what I tell people about the butterfly. This is a cocoon sort of space. There is a lot of stuff happening in that space. There really is. So we slow things down. We get into this really mindful space. That's where I was going. Say level 1, use the distraction. Level 1, we're just trying to make it through it, okay? And level 2, bring really the mindset to it. As most people's experience is that when something happens quickly, hard to sustain. Very rare. It's very rare. This is true in weight loss, it's true in life, you know. It's certainly true in business, you know, as I'm seeing and reading lots of books and talking with people's experience. And we'll see, you know, puts me in a contemplative mood about what I am doing. I am not experiencing some sort of quick success with my simple fasting business. Definitely like a slow little process. I am having the experience in simple fasting as the humble leader of it that I'm hopefully discussing with people. You know, we had that first phase when I was in the university, when I was connected with thousands of people, when patients were, there's so much demand within that system that I couldn't possibly keep up with it. And then say, oh man, we're having a fascinating experience. Here I'm floating along, trying to do it on my own, out of the system. Is like, I'm kind of in this sort of phase now. We're floating along. We're helping a few people in a really nice way, I think. Like in my clinic, you know. It's so ironic, you know, I go from the university where I was booked out like a year and a half. And it is built up, I've been thinking about this lately, to the space where I have now, where I have huge capacity. I couldn't see as many people as I was seeing there, but I do have a great capacity to see more people than I'm seeing now. But the health system, you know, it's all contained. People are in these self-contained little ecosystems of HMOs and things, and so far, I haven't really found, I think, the language that connects as deeply as I want. But it's all okay. See, this is what I'm saying here. Just like all of our practices, you know, can mirror each other throughout life. Even in this business sense, I find contentment in just this simple experience that we are having. This is mirroring the type of experience that I want people to have. Take a deep breath and find peace and contentment and gratitude for these things right in that moment. And then we're going to hit that point, right, where things really unlock in a bigger way. This is the pattern. Which way does it go on the screen for you? This is my experience. A lot of times people go through something like that and like this and down again. And that is a wonderful process. Little slower than we would wish sometimes is okay. Looking at that deep mindfulness, when we really slow down the meal space, think of it as a training program, think of it as a practice. I'm picturing an experience right now. You've even gone through the process. Have you had this? This would be next level, okay? You've gone through the process. You've cooked the food. You're sitting in the space. It's like still the mindfulness. Now we said the pause. Now we said the breath. Now we have it. Just to give some space in that moment to ask the question like, oh, this is what I was trying to get into in the mindset before. Feeling the energy, you know? Feel the energy. Say, okay, energy can come in from this source. Feel the energy already in the body. It's like before we've eaten, now we're in that space. This is the difficult space, that phase change between fasting space, eating space. We're trying to create balance in the body, trying to create flow of energy. When we keep the processed foods low, when we keep the carbohydrates low, we make the shift between those systems easier. In the perfect metabolic world, the shift would be pretty seamless. It would not feel unpleasant. This would be like level 10, but even in that moment, even when the food is there, we could still decide that actually this is not the space for it right now. We could still extend it. We could even sit with it and have gratitude for it, but then also gratitude for the body and really sink in and feel it. Maybe you start to feel the phase change. Maybe it's happening as the hunger is peaking and the body is getting the message. Maybe not eating right now. Maybe engaging this deeper energy level in the body. Might need to start releasing energy from the reserves. And as we're feeling the hunger wave coming back down, coming into balance, can you even feel the counter wave in the body of the energy being released? Stored sugar reserves in the liver, in the musculature that are being used to run the system. Body fat starting to be mobilized, shifting us over from the sugar system into the ketone-based system. This is something that you can feel. I'm not going to tell you that it's just all rainbow unicorns as it feels good, okay? On some occasions, though, it can feel good, and I really do want people to be able to have that experience. Doesn't have to feel good, though. A hunger wave, I experience hunger, I think, like anyone else, right? Just can feel very intense, very uncomfortable. Can feel like this is a sensation that I want to stop, you know? And it is certainly a type of strength to make it through a space like that. Absolutely is. Never forced. But on the other side of it, and the goal for it, fasting space, feel like comfort coming into the body, actually. This would be the space to flow through it. This would be, you're at that 10 level, the food's already there, you're having a moment just to open up the space to see if an experience like this would happen. If you get into this space, you say, no, my body's very clear, I don't have the bandwidth for some Dr. Z, suggested thing. So, totally fine. But what if you got into this space and maybe you did it 10 times and then one time you said, you know what? I'm taking a breath here. I'm feeling this energy here. I think I might be okay. What if you just kept that pause going a bit? What if you felt that hunger come down? What if you felt the energy in the body coming to replace it, right? The meal would be bringing energy in. When we're trying to lose weight, we're trying to pick the lock, right? Like we're saying, we're trying to give spaces to the body, whether that's an exercise space, whether it's just through our healthiest meal choices. Maybe it's an actual fasting space where we're actually opening up the space, stop the flow of energy into the body that was going to be coming in. And now we're just seeing it directly. Instead of that energy powering the body, look, energy that has been locked inside. Say, feel it releasing. What if that feels good? What if all of a sudden the body is communicating the message like, you know what? I think this is really going to be okay here. Like we were planning on eating, but look at it. We can do this. Like this is going to feel good. Have you felt it, like where the stomach actually goes from like kind of churning, feeling hungry. It's like ready to go, but then it settles down and it just really, that the openness just feels good. And you're like, oh man, this is like more space here. Like this is going to calm down. This is helping me take a deeper breath. That it's actually bringing some peace and contentment into the day. This is what I would want for anyone doing it. This is really the only way I want people really long-term practicing fasting. It's okay to have that edge where you're like, I'm a human being. I can do something difficult. We can push through a space if we have the mindset to do it. Never force, never causing stress. But like really, the way I really want and the way to build a fasting practice is to start finding those spaces where it's like win-win. It's like, okay, we're opening up the fasting space, but it's like, and we're also reducing the stress. We're also feeling better. Like the energy is coming, like I feel it. I'm not dragging around. It's like, no, the energy is more, you know? And it's like, far from being like hungrier, like actually this needed a break. Like, have you felt that way? That's how I am right now, especially, you know, I'm taking these antibiotics. My whole digestive system feels bad from that. I'm going to do fasting. When I'm done with these antibiotics, Sunday, hopefully, I'm done. And I'm going to give the system a break. You know, I got to keep eating so I can take these nasty antibiotics. I know it's going to feel good. I'm personally going to take a fasting day and just let the system reset. I can't wait. Like, I just can't. It's going to feel good. That's how I want it for people. Just say, man. And maybe it's not every time. I don't do something like that all the time. I do a little bigger fasting space when it serves me, when I feel like it. Plateau is long, but having success again, much slower, learning patience as I learn to slow down. Hey, I just love that. This is the thing. Because look, this is a long path, right? This is life. There's a lot of space here yet. And we just want something that we can just stick with. Years gonna be happening and just keep getting better. This is what we want. Not the type of thing like when you're building a discipline like this that you've built and you've really invested the time into it. This is not the type of thing that you just fall off. It's not the type of thing that just disappears one day and you have to keep searching for something. Or you say, oh, we went through a difficult season and we did fall off in some fashion. It's like, look, we've got a history here. This is like riding a bike. It's not like you have to reinvent the process every time. You got off the bike and we get back on, you know? This is the sort of idea. That's why I really like, probably I should go back. I want to do a series bringing in a lot of financial sort of analogies, because it's like we think of investing and compounding here, but I love these analogies for health. Like investing in a process like I'm describing does compound and it does build and it is an asset. You know, it's an intangible asset, but it is an asset that we build. You know, just like any sort of skill, you know, skills are assets, and you have to invest in anything to do it. And to me, this sort of process, investing in the skill of being able to align our eating and the frequency of our eating with what best serves our body is an incredible asset. It's an incredible asset. I think we've gone through this entire experience, you know, in our society of the idea that we're all like robots or clones or something, and that we just got stamped out of some process. And therefore, there is such a thing as an RDA, you know, a recommended daily allowance, where it's like everybody should eat these number of meals and these number of macros, just like a standard thing, stamp it out. But that's all totally wrong in my view. People very different. People have vastly different metabolic needs. And therefore, part of the health process is discovering what is the optimal thing for this human being at this point in time. And 3 meals a day plus snacks for every sort of person to hit 1,800 calories in a thing can, this is not a thoughtful process. The difference between wanting to eat and needing to eat is becoming more clear. Hey, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, this is an incredible mindset space just to dig into, And I just say into that space, a lot of grace into that space. There's a lot of benefit to both sides of that. Nothing wrong with wanting to eat and no judgment to it. And of course. But just, personally in a space to really think what is really happening here and why. And where is the balancing point, of course, between these two things and short-term and long-term benefit, and how do we practice in that space and navigating it, and what is really going to bring the most peace and contentment, really, within a moment, within a day, within a broader period of time. I think that's such a key space. I say take some of these thoughts into the day, take them into the fasting space, to the pause, right? Maybe it's even a few moments. Take them into our eating space. I think a lot of really good thinking here, both on fasting and eating. This is the big balance that I want to bring to us. Both of these things are essential. We need the healthiest food. We need the nutrition to power our life. We need some amount of fasting space, even if it's just overnight. We can't be up all night eating. It's not going to serve anybody. And so we've had the idea in our society, fasting is just, from the period from dinner to breakfast. Yes, what is the cost-benefit analysis? I do love that. There's some more finance that we need to bring in. Always a cost-benefit analysis. Bring this thinking, yes. It's not just necessarily always the space between dinner and breakfast. That space has not been generally appreciated in our society. Niche areas on the internet have discovered, there is a benefit here. Niche areas within the research community. I've brought talks to you and will bring many more about the fascinating research being done on fasting. And like my friend was saying to me the other day, Phil, you really missed the hype wave. Why didn't you get on YouTube, 5 years ago when you really talked about it and you should have done it, and now you missed it? And I'm just like, no, you don't understand. It's like a little wave popped off in society somewhere on fasting because a couple people realized that this has benefit. People have been practicing fasting for thousands of years on this planet, probably thousands more than we comprehend, for many different reasons. And the idea that a fasting moment happened on YouTube somewhere, is happening, is not, I was trying to tell him, is not something that I missed or that anyone missed. This is something that is, and it's something that has been a part of the human experience as long as there's recorded history, basically. It's something that is embedded deep in the physiology of every cell in our body, has protocols that run in a fasting space that can bring health and vitality to the body. DNA repair enzymes, autophagy processes that cellularly clean the system. Just incredible things. Like, you can know from first principles, even philosophically, as much as scientifically, that the body wants this to be happening on at least some frequency. Otherwise, it would not put these incredible operations into that space. So what we can see from the research that is happening, like, the research community is building. It is like geometrically building to study this process. We're at the very infancy, in my view, of the impact that a fasting process can have on our society. And the thing that I want to bring to people is that we don't have to wait, okay? There is no, like, oh, it's, I think the research by, 10 and 20 years, is going to be incredible. But fasting also incredibly simple. And you don't have to even know very much about it at all to receive benefit from it. It is so simple that it's even a barrier to even talking about it. I think, how can you start a YouTube channel to talk about fasting when all it is say, like, I was going to be eating and then I just didn't for a period of time? You say it is so simple that you can describe it in one sentence. Yet it's so profound that it can touch the health of every cell in the body. It's like a paradox that I think is really inspiring and beautiful. And, the idea that we have here, don't rush through things. Something like this, you say, oh, like, so easy to overlook. I think this is, when we're in the rush of our society, the speed of everything that is happening, you see something that is so simple, like, who can even stop for one sentence to say, like, actually there's something very deep and beautiful and profound here by opening up some space. It's so easy to overlook. This is why I say, like, let's slow down, and to actually say, like, we just need to pause. Like, we need to do a real pause here and not miss this. This is one of the key health practices that, it's been in pretty much every other society. And as we head back, just a natural part of the flow of life between seasons. And, I say, thankfully, we are here in this Gilded Age that is just almost unimaginable abundance. And as we dig into the deep history and we realize, oh, human beings have struggled, just to survive, And this is a survival. We are inhabiting survival machine as a human being, has incredible energy systems. And as we really get into that space and just to see, how is this body built and what is it trying to do here? Sink into a really profound space. Really dig into that mindset. Wanting and needing, thankfully. And I hope, look deep into the history here. I have a big heart. I try to, for people, even in the midst of this society, there are still many people who do not have enough to eat. And there's such massive inequality and people who are truly hungry still in this situation. And this is something that when I am practicing fasting that I think of, So can we take some of these resources, help our brothers and sisters in need? And that is a sort of thing that can also bring its own benefit into our own life, as we're trying to navigate the very difficult experience of navigating hunger and energy balance in the body between wants and needs. And this is something that I think can help us get into a really thoughtful space about what actually brings health and life and vitality, and then also comfort and contentment. Slow down, don't rush, at least for parts of the time. Center the thinking. Recognize, hey, fasting space, very profound, and thank God it is simple, right? I never say that fasting space is like easy. Doesn't have to be easy in order to be beneficial, but it is simple. It's like we can say it in a sentence. We can bring even parts of the concepts of it into our life in the way they benefit. It's an empowering process, recognizing there is more strength in the body than has been commonly appreciated. A lot of companies that want to solve our problem of feeling hungry want to convince us that we are weak and fragile, and if we do not purchase their products and consume them frequently, we're going to run out of energy. We're going to be weak and unhealthy. It's very clear to me that fasting is the type of thing that can build strength in the body. Always balanced with the appropriate nutrition, always balanced with the appropriate mindset, so that we are never developing any sort of process of using a fasting practice, punishing ourselves in some fashion. This is completely the opposite. Fasting, to me, an open space, voluntarily chosen for the benefit of the body, the mind, the spirit, this whole connected being. This is how people have used it thoughtfully throughout history. I don't think it's a coincidence that spiritual traditions have incorporated fasting all around the planet, you know. People for thousands of years put fasting into holidays, special things. Think Ramadan, think Lent, think all of these different things. I think it's because human beings across different cultures, across vast periods of time, have found benefit from this practice and have brought it in to their culture, you know? It's like how these things presumably develop. So I say this is something that we should bring into our culture. I would like to see we have a fasting culture, a culture where people who would benefit from this practice can access it in a way that helps life and health and vitality to flourish. So hopefully this be a space where we can all slow down together, sink into this thinking, so that it isn't just something abstract, you know? Not just a concept, but something more tangible. You know, fasting, pretty abstract. It's nothing. Just like a walk is nothing, right? But a walk becomes tangible when we do it. And fasting becomes tangible when we do it. And so, to me, more beneficial than a research study that shows something in particular, whatever the finding is, some great finding showing, oh, we can help blood sugar and blood pressure and weight to come into balance. Better to me is the tangible space. That's what I'm trying to do here. Say where we can actually just come together, a little community of people, actually do the practice. It's like not just talking about it, not just reading about it, but doing what can be the hard work of actually practicing it, you know? Because it's look at some of the comments that we have had, right? Like, oh, like we're flowing through a space, we're learning, we're doing this together. It can take time, you know, really can. Just like compounding on our investments, we say, man, like even some great return, you know, we say 10% this year return, and it's like, oh, well, we didn't like, no, it's still in the ballpark. It's not like we tripled our assets, you know, in some meme coin, you know, like something crazy. You know, say 10%. What good is that, all right? But, man, you compound that. But it takes some time to do that. This is the sort of mindset. But how grounded is that? We're not gambling our life's resources on a NFT. Remember NFTs? People buying NFTs during COVID for millions of dollars, little JPEG. I mean, just nutty. No, we're investing in something very, very solid. Very solid. Beautiful to share this space with you. Really loved this space, this conversation. Slow down a bit. Stop the rush. Have a beautiful day. I will look forward to being back with you here tomorrow.